Why aren't Muslims allowed to eat pork? Is there an actual reason to it?
A long story, and I
Yes.
think, Armin, you probably know about it.
What I
It's
mean,
actually been copied all the way from the Jewish traditions, yeah?
Judaism. Exactly. That's not very. I was thinking, what long story you're talking about, because it's a very short story. It's
Yeah.
basically Islam used to be a Jewish cult, and then it evolved into a Jewish Christian cult, which then evolved to its own religion. Because it was a Jewish cult, that's why they weren't allowed to eat pork. Because in Judaism, you're not allowed to eat pork. That's basically it. But there's a good. The longer story is why Jews are not allowed to eat pork, and I think there's a really good video on this on the channel Religion for Breakfast. I think. Yeah, the story has got to do with certain people who ate a lot of pork and used to be the enemies of the Israelites, and they associate themselves as the people who are not them. So that's why they saw eating pork as something bad. But I don't know if I am explaining it very well. But if you go to if you search for religion for breakfast and then pork, there's a video here. There's this video that would explain it to you while you're thinking about something here. This video right up here, right? So just search for religion for breakfast and pork. This video will explain why in Judaism not eating pork, how it came to Judaism, and then from there you get
copy paste.
Copy.
Yeah, that is copy paste, and you got to understand why. It's not just intellectual laziness, although it might be a big portion of that, but it also helps Muhammad make his central claim that the previous religions were also the religions of the same God, which is Allah. Yahweh is Allah, and the Jewish God and the Christian God and Islamic God are the same, although they contaminated the scripture. So here's the updated version, the Quran. So that's why he had to show that he had to adopt a lot of commandments from the Old Testament and the Bible. That helped his cause as well. So that's why when you tell Muslims that, hey, your Muhammad actually plagiarized, they say no, it's not plagiarism because it's the same God. So a lot of
Well, I mean, that's the official story. The true story is that Muhammad wasn't actually
an intellectual.
The actual historic person that his name eventually turned into Muhammad during the Umayyad and Abbasid period. He was not even claiming to be a prophet. He was just a warlord.
Well, I don't know. That's a conspiracy theory. Come on.
No, this is completely academic now. It's completely academic. This has been studied.
No, what? You're going with Tom Holland, or you're going with Dan Barker, or who?
No. We have moved way past that. In the past 2 years, Harris, we have had so many academic studies. I will send them to you. We have moved Patricia Cohen. That's old school. We have so much new information, but these are scholars from Stanford, from Harvard, from so many other places. Okay, it's almost proven beyond reasonable doubt the guy's name was not even Muhammad. 90% of his stories are made up. It's I'm not saying there was no guy, but it's most of the stories were made up.
But the Quran mentions Muhammad twice.
No, the Quran mentions the name Muhammad four times. Four times,
yes.
And 3 of them is not referring to the Prophet of Islam necessarily. Muhammad is actually not a name. Muhammad is an adjective. Yeah, it's a title, and it was probably referring to Jesus based on what the information coming. Muhammad Rasulullah means praise be upon the Prophet of God, and the Prophet Muhammad means praise be, so it's Muhammad Rasulullah is praising the Prophet of God, and the Prophet of God here refers to Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
you should look into the studies. This is actually getting a lot more solid than it used to be. It's pretty crazy. But
I still like to go by. What's the official narrative? Let's go by that.
Well, the official Islamic narrative. We could still no. I mean, we don't have to throw out that narrative because it's still the Islamic narrative. We could say according to Islamic narrative, and then we could criticize that. But the truth is that one thing that we know right now for almost certain is when the Arabs came out of Arabia and they invaded, when they attacked Iran, the Sassanid dynasty and the Byzantine dynasty, and also captured Jerusalem. They were not Muslim at that time. Islam was something that was created a lot later, much later, starting in the Umayyad dynasty, but then completed in the Abbasid dynasty. Islam was not something that Muhammad started. Islam started a lot later. It started by Hajjaj ibn Yusuf and Malik ibn Marwan. These are the people who actually started gathering all the myths and legends and then canonizing it as something that we recognize as Islam today. So what the Arabs used to believe originally was a Judeo-Christian ideology, a heretic version of Christianity that was not accepted in the Byzantine Empire, which they didn't. It was a branch of Christianity that didn't believe Jesus is the Son of God. It only believed that Jesus was a prophet of God. This is why Islam has so much emphasis on Jesus not being the Son of
God. I've seen Barker, and I read Sword of Islam, not all of it, but I will definitely watch this documentary as well a few years ago. And I know you actually interviewed them as well. You and Ali, and Patricia Crone as well. I don't know. I'm not, unless there's more to it. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think this is too big.
But yeah, Tom Holland and Patricia Crone. That's like we have moved in the past 2 years. We have moved way past that. You have no idea how much research has been done on this. It's crazy. It's mind blowing. It's growing so fast.
Send me some. Send me some. I need to read that. Okay. I think I owe my listeners at least that much.
Yeah. So guys, these are not just like bloggers and YouTubers or
these academics,
some bigots like Robert Spencer who are like in it against Islam. We're talking about not just academics. These are people that are well known in this field. These are leading academics in pre-Islamic Arabia. So these are not people that you could just dismiss as like crackheads. So yeah, I'll send you some links. You could look into it. It's pretty cool. These are the Bart Ehrmans. Oh, let me tell you something, okay? Let me give you two information, okay? Other religions, we had understanding of their history. They had an official narrative of their history, okay? And whenever secular academics eventually got to it to see what actually happened, it never ended up being the actual history that they believed in it, the official history. So it wasn't true with Judaism. It wasn't true with Christianity. How likely it is that now with Islam, the actual narrative of what they have about their history is the true one.
It's never been true about anything either. Like even any history, like Roman history that was written by Roman chroniclers. Right. A lot of that turned out to be BS as well. So you're right. I mean, we tend to think that contemporary history or history that's just come around about that time, those historians might be more accurate, but no, it seems more engineered and manufactured.
Also, the way religions start, right? If you look at all the other religions, there seems to be a method that they get started, right? And what we have with the Islamic narrative is unique and very different from how we know religions start. But now the new narratives are a lot more in line with what we understand how religions get started.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. But
also, there's a 200-year gap. You know that.
Oh,
part,
yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah. Everyone knows that part. There is a black hole. Even Tom Holland said that there's a big black hole in the middle that we don't know.
But the black hole is being filled very slowly. That's
really? But is there any archaeological evidence? I mean, I'm curious to know what's so new about it that you're talking about it. But is there any physical archaeological evidence?
Yeah.
Physical bits that they found. I know there's coins that they found up.
Writings and stones and before there's even evidence of pre-Islamic Arabia about beliefs and how it's shaped. Like these things that Muhammad had, like they were. This is, first of all, it didn't, the whole Allah thing didn't start in Arabia. It was a lot more north, right? And this whole praying towards the Kaaba and having a Kaaba was not in Mecca. It was like many different places that was happening. But this was not one person doing something. This was like a whole movement, slowly being developed by many people.
But someone was writing or reciting the Quran, though.
It wasn't the Quran. These were many different stories and narratives that were spread across a whole people in many different areas, right? So it wasn't one person, and again, it wasn't one book. These were not even recognized as one book. These were just stories that were spread in the community.
But then the writing style would have been different. Dialect would have been different. I know their qirats are different, but mainly, more or less, it's still pretty similar, though.
Yeah, because the person who is responsible for canonizing it and eliminating other things is not actually Osman. Okay, it's Malik ibn Marwan, the Umayyad Caliph, with the help of Hajjaj ibn Yusuf.
Well, what about Birmingham manuscript, and what about these other old manuscripts that they found? Is pretty much the same as it is today. I mean, they found the Quran.
Well, so that is the person who's responsible for making all that official and canonizing it and eliminating all the ones. That was not Osman. That happened a lot later. And in fact, we don't even know if there was.
No, but I'm saying that we have the current version of the Quran. The oldest one is from at least around the time Muhammad died. That's the latest time that they put it, to 650. I know it's not the whole Quran.
That's only a segment of the Quran.
Yeah. Yes, that's okay. Yeah,
okay. And has two layers.
There's another one. What's the other one? There's another one that's a lot.
Actually, the oldest Qurans that we have are different from the Quran.
No, we don't.
Yeah, the oldest Qurans that we have is different from the Quran that we have today in major ways.
Not in major ways. Really?
Even if you go in the Dome of the Rock, the verses that you have in the Dome of the Rock is different from the Quran that you have today.
Okay, I'm gonna have to refresh my memory. I'm gonna have to look a little bit more into it again, because that doesn't a lot of that. I don't know. Okay, well, fair enough. Like, I mean, I would need a lot of convincing evidence, of course, because we all get shaped by our own biases, and it's difficult. But anyway, I don't have a faith issue.
I'm not making any claims here.
I know. You're telling me about what they're saying, but I'm just saying. Go obviously you've read that. You read that more in detail, so obviously you've made up your mind. I'm just saying I don't know. I can't make up my mind yet.
It's a bit. Here's the thing. This to me was like one of those moments when I lost belief in God. It's too much. It seems too much for it all not to be true. Do you know what I mean? So for us to be like, we believe in the story of Muhammad, with that he came as the Quran was. He had the Quran, he had the book, he did all his invasions, and now somebody coming us and telling us like, yeah, none of that actually happened. That is pretty intense.
I don't have any emotional problem with that. I'm okay with that. Like, I mean, with hadiths, I've always taken it as a pinch of salt. With hadiths, I always say that, somebody was making them up. Somebody wanted to say that, we need to attack this village, so therefore let's create a hadith. Hey, I heard Muhammad say this, so therefore it gives me a pretext to attack this town or whatever. Like, I get that, but I'm saying but the Quranic narrative is pretty strong. A lot of people, like, my understanding was like even the Quran has been pretty consistent from 650 or 660 AD onwards. It's been pretty consistent, and the Quran is not the whole of Islam, but it's still it's still in line with the hadith. Like, I mean, it looks like it's the same ideology.
It actually the ideology shifted significantly. If you actually look at the history of what Arabs believed in, right? It got very canonized very fast, but the pre-Umayyad belief system of what the Arabs had was actually significantly different from the post Malik ibn Marwan ideology, and it was unrecognizable to us, like, as Islam. If you actually go and look at what the Arabs seemed to believe in before the Umayyad dynasty and Abbas. It was during the Abbasid dynasty that Islam eventually becomes into something that we recognize as Islam today. But if you look at what actually, like, if you go look at the writings of Arabs and how they prayed and what they referred to, first of all, they didn't seem to even know that they have a prophet named Muhammad, right? In their prayers or in their recitations of the things, right? They have completely forgotten. For a couple of decades, the Arabs seem to have forgotten that their prophet was Muhammad. They keep on mentioning angels and God, but not Muhammad. So that's bizarre. There was no mention of the Quran, no mention of a book for a couple of decades. For Arabs, for the religion to have to be Islam, and them having all their writings, not a single time mentioning the Quran or Muhammad, it seems insane. It seems really insane. That's right. So I will send you some things that we could actually discuss this maybe after you look.
Yeah, well, I need to read more of that.
Get my best-selling book, Why There Is No God, for free. Click on the link for it in the description.